Do we have to greet the bot?
Yes, all the bots have to come in and introduce themselves. Go round table, and introduce themselves.
Round table.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
look at
have a
this.
good news to say.
What do you got, Arvin?
I got the new job.
Awesome.
Yeah, oh, you legend.
Yeah, I am joining Bill Club as their founding AI engineer slash developer relations.
Excellent.
Well,
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
well done.
nice job.
Good job. That's really awesome. Actually, it's super
It's
awesome.
because you're part of Ortelius. That's what happens when you join the Ortelius open source group. Good things happen, man.
It's true.
Thank you. Like I was taking this job assistant guide from Steve and Sasa from long time, and now I finally got the job.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent,
Yay.
Thank you,
man.
everyone. Thank you, this community.
It's a
Oh,
really
well done.
awesome way to start the year.
It is.
And it looks like we have a new person joining. Eddie, can you introduce your stuff?
Sure. Eddie Webanero. I am the Senior Director for Field Engineering at CircleCI. So my team, they're kind of a hybrid of traditional pre-sales engineers and post-sales customer success engineers. And for folks not familiar, CircleCI is a CI/CD engine, the world's fastest, and really interested in kind of Ortelius as a great integration point. A lot of our customers, especially interested in things like being able to capture a bomb, and do that kind of assessment of, all the things that have gone through my pipeline, where do they stand, what was the status, and do retrospective analysis, right? When customers do find something like a CVE, how wide is the impact of this, and how do I have that system of record to trace it? So I joined the CDF as kind of what do they call it, a community ambassador, and picked up Ortelius as a particular project I was interested in. And I apologize because this is actually the first architectural session of many I've been invited to that I've actually had the time to attend. So happy to be here.
No problem. And welcome
We're
back,
happy
Alex.
that you are here. Yes, Alex, how weird, Alex. I swear to you, I was just thinking about you this morning, and I thought to myself, I gotta reach out to Alex and see where he's at. So it's really good to see you.
So, yeah, so welcome back, Alex. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
So I'm going to dive right in, kind of where we left off. If somebody could drop the meeting notes into the chat for me, that would be great.
I have I just did Steve.
Oh,
It
perfect.
should be in there. Yeah.
All right. So kind of where we left off, our last meeting was focusing on being able to add Ortelius into Jenkins. So Sasha was doing a bunch of work standing up Jenkins, figured out the HTML plugin to basically capture a HTML report inside of the Jenkins workflow. So Eddie, this is going to run parallel with what we could do with CircleCI. So the concept that we're working towards is taking the vulnerability information that and the SBOM information from the pipeline. That information gets through the Ortelius CLI, gets added into our database. On the back end, we then go and process the SBOM and cross-reference that with any other vulnerabilities that are out there for those components. And then also we, as a separate step, we haven't gotten to this part yet, is when you deploy something, where was it deployed to? So Ortelius has basically two steps. One is the recording, logging all that gory detail, and the second one is being able to find out where that stuff was deployed to. And because Ortelius has a concept of an application, we can roll things up to an application level SBOM. So that will be where we're able to go from there. So the idea is to have a dashboard inside of the workflow output. And I can't remember if CircleCI allows us to do that as part of it. You know, kind of add in our own steps and do a display of an HTML report.
Yeah, so it's not, I don't think it's the same as the Jenkins UI, but we have the ability to expose artifacts, and a lot of integrations will expose a custom HTML page as an artifact. So it's one of the
Okay.
tabs you pop over, and then it's a great way to kind of summarize. And custom jobs are a little bit interesting. There was actually out, I don't want to derail the topic, but there was an Orb, which is like our integration framework versus plugins that I think someone created for CircleCI long ago and was since a little defunct. And so that would be definitely, it's on my radar to revisit that and see what the opportunity is.
Yeah. So we've kind of shifted slightly. So, you know, like the orb for the CircleCI was the collection of the data. So we've kind of moved to just doing that as a CLI call. Nothing fancy on that front. Just because it makes it more generic for it to fit into the different CI tools. So what Sasha was working on was getting the HTML report to pop up, and we got that working. The next step is to see if that HTML report can be dynamic. So what I mean by that is instead of the report just being a point in time of the data that we captured, if we can actually hit the Ortelius server and load up dynamic data as part of that. So let's say you run your workflow, run your pipeline. It shows that we have no vulnerabilities. Everything's looking good. Then we go back, you know, a week from now, and we pull up that same workflow, and we have 10 vulnerabilities that have been reported since then. And that report should dynamically show the new data as part of that.
And we should be thinking, as we talk about this, notifications when new ones do show up. So that may be an integration to like Slack or Discord.
Yeah,
Groups.
exactly. So that will be the a good way to push things out. And there are integrations. You know, the Slack API is pretty simple. I think Sasha, you were using like a gateway for Slack and Discord, weren't you? At
Did
one
try.
point.
I did look at something like that, but when it comes to Jenkins, I just have a plugin. There's a plugin for it, so I just use that for Discord. And I saw
Yeah.
there's also a Slack plugin already.
Yeah.
Someone's already created it. Yeah.
So that would be the other ways that we can just add those plugins in to make those calls. So Sasha, let me try dropping this file to you through chat. It may or may not allow me.
I think I put it in the Ortelius blog that I wrote for the on Jenkins.
Right.
It didn't go there. Well, in the Jenkins file.
Let me. I'm gonna drop it to you on Discord.
Yeah, cool.
It's acting up.
No worries.
So basically, what I did was I just had ChatGPT write me a quick HTML file that will load the weather for South Africa. So it's like a one-liner. Let me find my Discord.
Was the weather to your liking, Steve?
It was pretty warm there, I see.
Yeah, it's pretty warm.
What, like 20, 23 out or 24?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So, yeah, nice weather compared to us. Dev channel, let me just drop it there. All right. So when you have a chance, Sasha, just if you could give that file a go. drop it in place and just hard code. What you can do is you can just put it in your repo, and then point the plugin to just hard code that file. And what it should do is it uses some Ajax code to actually go and load the weather for South Africa. You don't have to do it right now, but if you can just put that on your to-do list. So the goal is to figure out what type of dynamic calls we can make from inside of Jenkins. If this simple example works of just loading the weather, then we could go to the next step of actually loading a page or the data from Ortelius.
Oh,
So
cool. Thank you.
yeah, it's just a simple Ajax call. It doesn't use any special JavaScript like jQuery or anything like that. Basically using the raw stuff, so we're not dependent upon, JavaScript libraries and stuff like that. Just trying to keep it simple for our initial test.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool. I'll stick this in my repo.
Yeah, stick it in your repo and then have that plugin hard code and load that and see what happens. It should
Cool.
work, but if it doesn't, then we'll have to figure out another alternative.
Yeah, we can make something work.
Yeah. So that's what we have going on the plugin side and the dashboard. We have some ideas of how we want to lay out the dashboard and what boxes we have from past discussions. So once we know that this is working, then we'll go ahead and start doing the layout, mock up a layout, and figure out how we can grab that information as part of that process. We may, depending on the capabilities that we have with the web page, we may or may not be able to do all the fancy stuff that we want with like graphs and stuff like that. But I think we can get around that by basically loading an iframe. So the HTML would then just load an iframe, and that iframe should have full access to do whatever it wants because it's actually loading up all the JavaScript libraries in a separate process basically. Any questions on that?
No. No, it's all good.
All right, cool.
I'll just put the link to my repo, the repo that I've been using.
Okay, cool.
But we should probably move that. I should probably move that over at some stage into Ortelius, right?
Yeah, and I think you have access to do that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to make that move over to the Ortelius org.
Yeah.
And I don't think we shouldn't have any name clashes, so it should be an easy move.
Okay. Now then more people can have a go at it and make it better.
Yeah, because I think I have to revive my Jenkins server, but I should be able to just git clone that demo repo, and then everybody will be working on the same pipeline basically.
Yeah, exactly, and everybody can have a go and play with it and stuff.
Yeah.
So
because you'll see in the Jenkins. Sorry, Tracy. Yeah.
That's okay. So Eddie, one of our kind of continuing challenges in our efforts here is having these development environments where it's easy to do the integrations. So if CircleCI has any place that we could play a sandbox that we could use CircleCI in some kind of a test environment, or if you have some kind of templates or some platform engineering that we could take advantage of, it would be helpful. Sasha is pretty much our platform engineer. He has been creating, everything that we need to try to make it easy to create these environments. But it's never straightforward, and it's never that easy. So that's it's been one of our constant challenges. And as you know, we used to have environments supported by the Continuous Delivery Foundation, but because of its financial situation, they have taken all those environments away.
Yeah, on the CircleCI side, two options for the CircleCI exposure. There's a free tier that is probably enough for some nominal level of build and collaboration each month. We also have a process though for open source projects where you can kind of get a higher tier unlocked as long as the project is open source and you get some amount of free, build credits to deploy that. Looking at the sample project and with Ortelius's function, I think the harder part of the challenge is having the runtime environment to deploy to. I mean, that can be mocked out and just, fictitious
Yeah, so
versus using a
just so
shared
you
space.
know, yeah, we're focused right now. Are you talking about doing actual deployments too, like a mock deployment? Yeah, I
Yeah, like
think
environment tracking.
we
Yeah,
could, yeah, we could definitely stub that out. So
cool.
it even if it's not going to, it could go out to a repo or something, right?
Awesome.
Yeah,
The endpoint doesn't have to be a physical environment. Let's just put it that way.
and I think right now, Sasha, you're pointing to the SaaS version of Ortelius, right?
I have my own homegrown Ortelius.
So you could get fancy on a Raspberry Pi Kubernetes cluster like Sasha, or
Yeah.
we can go over to the Ortelius SaaS version, which is hosted by the Deploy Hub.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, Eddie, this is going to be very low. It's not like we're going to be running, hundreds of builds a day or anything like that. It's just a couple for testing and stuff. So I think, like you said, the free tier probably get us a pretty long way.
Oh, cool. CircleCI open source.
And what's the link to the free tier? Is that just off of the homepage?
Yeah, I just dropped a link in the chat that is our open source page. But if you go on to that, by default, you're going to start building on a free project anyway. And it's a slightly reduced amount of credits that you get for that. I don't know offhand what it is, but again, I think it's probably sufficient for what we're trying to do here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So awesome. So that is the main thing. So kind of like the marching orders is to drop in that HTML. Sasha, you and I will work over Discord and see where we get with that and figure out if there's any issues that pop up on that front. And then we'll go from there at that level.
Give you some issues because I wanted to contact you near the end of last year, because I was struggling to integrate my pipeline with Ortelius.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, I also tried. Then I tried using the SaaS version, and I was hacking a bit. But I mean, then I just ran out of time. So I'd like to take that up again. Yeah, it's also
Okay.
good for, and then I blog about it, right, so that everybody can learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's figure out a time to do that. And we'll make sure other people know. So like if Arvin or anybody else wants to be on board when we do that debugging session, everybody knows about it.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I've also still got on my radar to convert GitLab to ARM.
Oh, yeah. Good luck on that front.
Yeah, it's quite a job. I can't believe it. I got so many repos and it's like, there's no ARM. And then I write letters. Please, can you create an ARM repo for me, for my Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
Right, a little issue.
And then a slight side issue, we got to figure out because you have an older ARM version than what we're for one of our
don't worry about
images.
that. I solved that. I just bought new Pis.
Oh, that's the easy way to fix it.
And I put all my workloads on there now. Ortelius runs.
Awesome.
No problem. And I use the older
Sasha
Pi for the masters.
Cool.
Sasha has a whole Pi town.
Yeah, I got a Pi town. Yeah. I got a 6-node Pi cluster. It's going to become 9 soon. Yeah. Yeah. With software-defined storage. That's
Cool.
incredible. Yeah. Software-defined storage. Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so Steve do I have some time to share some thoughts? Okay, so I'm going to put my community director hat on for a minute here. I think what we need to do is we need to define some very specific first quarter goals. what we want to achieve. And we really need to talk about what we need to do to get them done. We had done quite some time ago a new architecture, but I don't believe we ever got it implemented. And I know that the code base right now, making changes to the GUI is a mess. It really is. It's not easy. And we need to get at minimum that Jenkins plugin completed, since we've talked about it. What can we get done, and what else do we need to talk about getting done in the first quarter? And I bring this up because if we, we still have funds that are available to pay folks in GitHub. I keep trying to get people to, I keep trying to pay people there. I can't seem to get people to do it. But we could potentially hire somebody to finish the plugin and pay them through our GitHub bounty. Is that something that we should consider?
So how close are we in our architecture to a true model view controller architecture, Steve?
It depends on what we use for the back end. So that's the tricky part. So right now, our back end is split between Postgres and Arango. And this work that we're doing, and it's kind of all hosted between our different microservices. So our microservices are monolith, which is in Java, and then new microservices in Python and Golang on that front. So that's kind of where we're floating right now. The new architecture was to move everything to Arango and basically Golang as the back-end microservices. Now, we don't have to go that full route. I think this plugin that we're talking about and the report that we want to host inside of Jenkins and CircleCI could be like a separate feature branch that we can kind of isolate from the rest of the code base to enable us to kind of, like you said, kind of move beyond where we're at, but not quite as far all the way to a full implementation. We kind of like a stepping stone is what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but again, my question is not whether we're using Arango or Oracle. The question is, have we separated out the user interaction from the data structures, from essentially the code services? If one thing we do is set a goal to say, we want the user interface and user experience to be essentially its own, I'm going to say module, even though it won't be a single module.
Yeah.
Its own layer, so that if we make a relatively radical change to how we interact with the users, it doesn't impact the rest of Ortelius.
Yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah, so this this new plugin report that we're talking about, I would say that would be stood up using a new framework that would be separate from the existing code base, so it's totally modular. And we're looking at using Svelte as the framework because it's easy to do, it's templated. So I think that could be an easy way to make that separation that you're talking about.
Okay, well, talking, back now to Tracy's goals in first quarter, second quarter, whatever, I think one of the goals we probably ought to have is ensure that the user experience is programmatically disconnected in a way that if someone says, oh, cool, I'm going to build an Android UI for this that will run as a native app, we don't have to make changes to anything else in Ortelius. And that's a place where microservices help us.
Yeah, exactly. And that it's going to be twofold. So one will be the front end development, and then we'll need some back end microservices to kind of deal with the database access, but it's doable. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
I think doing that will help simplify things down the road.
it
Okay,
should, but I would get Kate to give us a view on that too. That's something she's quite good at.
So I was going to ask if do we have to postpone that plugin in order to get, do we have to do these changes before we get the plugin?
We have to make some changes because, well, we'll know more when Sasha can finish his test. That will be kind of the driving direction, because that will drive whether we get dynamic data or static data.
We can do
Sasha,
one. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, ask Sasha if he has an idea of when you would have that answer. Probably, could you get an answer for us in 2 weeks?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Go ahead, Arvin.
Yeah, I was saying like instead of finding a freelancer, let's distribute this work to our own community, maybe like the Emporius or in our own network, and then we can do it together, like Sasha, me, and all of us, so that in this way we don't have to like explain them the whole project. Otherwise, if we find someone new, I think they will take at least a month to understand this whole project,
Probably.
and it will
Yes.
cost us a lot of time.
And then the only other thing to answer your question about the plugin waiting for the new UI or new UI portion is we could use we could plug into the new UI. We can plug into the existing UI with minimal changes to load the data, but we won't be getting any of the like the metrics and graphs and stuff that we've talked about for more of like a dashboard look and feel.
I think right now, if we could have a UI that just exposed the vulnerabilities, that's all that we really need to focus on. And if we can enhance the plugin later with new features based on the new backend, that's probably a more practical way to go, so we can get something delivered in the first quarter.
I agree.
Yeah. So the 2 pages that you that we would load would be the component detail view or the application detail view.
I think just the component right now. I think it should be, since it's based on a Jenkins workflow or even a CircleCI workflow, it would be a component.
Yeah. So
just components.
Yeah.
So just displaying and not worry about doing anything pretty, or just the core data that development teams need to have right now, which is, do I now have a new vulnerability? So I would love to see in this quarter to get that basic plugin completed, so the component vulnerability list is exposed, and a notification when a new vulnerability comes around, which means that we'd have to have a back end sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, agent that is scanning all of the SBOMs for new vulnerabilities and reporting it to the correct groups in either Slack or Discord.
When
right.
you say agent, what is?
She means a cron job that would run on the server side that would send out a notification cron job, basically.
It's okay.
But
We
it's
could call
much
it an
cooler if
AI
we call it
agent.
an agent.
Even better if we call it an AI agent.
Yeah, our AI engine will send out notifications.
Aren't you the AI engine? You are the model.
Yeah.
You're the LLM.
It's a huge LLM. It says, if true,
Yeah.
send this
So
out.
They're very
right now,
fun.
right now what we do is when you open up, if you go into Ortelius and you open up Ortelius, and you open up any one of the Ortelius components or the application level, Ortelius goes out and scans OSV dev and brings in all the new vulnerabilities. I was actually trying to do a demo over the Christmas weekend. Everything looked fine, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh great, there's a new vulnerability, and so I got to redo my demo because it looked inconsistent. So if that could be done in the back end and just either pushed out to Discord or Slack and to the component plugin, I believe that's all we need to do, and not try to, we just need to keep it simple, stupid at this point. Provide the data exactly what teams are needing today. Because we're going to be, we could be faced with almost 1 million vulnerabilities in 2025, according to Gartner.
Yeah.
So we need to start providing information to teams, since we're able to get it in the location that they have, which is Discord, Slack, or their workflow tool. If we can just get that done and not worry about changing anything in the back end right now, I feel like we'll be a better service to our open source community.
And I agree with that. Not that it matters. But
It does matter.
Of course it matters. We would tear up
There's a
everything
lot.
if you said you disagreed.
Yes,
Lock you and Sasha in a room and whoever comes out decides.
yes, yes.
so what do we need
So,
to
yeah,
to
so
do
what do
that?
we need to do to get that? Should one of us volunteer to start doing build a project plan, so we know exactly what we need out there and could create some issues? What's your
Or
thoughts?
we can create a 3 month sprint
Mhm.
and make actual deadline this time to work on the project.
I think that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, and we need to also calculate like how many hours and how many devs are needed for this work. And let's create a plan and start working on it.
Sounds good.
And just the vulnerabilities. We don't need to show anything else in that plugin. We just should be able to show the
Agree.
vulnerabilities.
Again,
Well, you're going to get the, because we're trying to minimize the work, you're going to get the component details screen. So whatever's on that screen, the
Okay.
OpenSSF scorecard,
Yeah.
that's what you're going to get. Because we're going to make even the menu bar on the left-hand side won't be there. So that's what we're going to get in this first pass. If you want to do a quick connection for that report.
Does we need Java developers for creating the plugin?
No. It should be literally that HTML that I sent Sasha. We go ahead and just replace the URL to point to Ortelius instead of the weather service.
Okay, I'm pasting that link again. It is written in Java.
Yep, that's the one that well, what happens is that plugin allows us to include an HTML report in the Jenkins log, and that's where the HTML report that we'll create will have more than likely to be like an iframe or something to Ortelius component detail screen.
Is the API that exposes that information, I assume it's protected by some sort of authorization?
Right now, we do have a login required, but one of the weird things that we've been looking at so in our new design for basically like what Tony was talking about, a new architecture design that we have that we've been working on, is to remove the user ID login. So everything would be publicly visible because this is mainly for public open source projects. So it's kind of redundant. And that we would be using like a token for updates. So you could go create a user ID and your own path to be able to do update things. So right now, I think we should be pretty good just bypassing the user ID login for now.
Okay.
I mean, we could theoretically, if we needed to, put a login box in place of that. But what we found is the easier you can, less steps you make it for the developers, the easier it is.
Yeah, no, my only concern was for exposing that HTML page in Jenkins, and also my mind is on CircleCI, is unless the Jenkins plugin allows you to do a backend call from the server to pull that data, anything that requires authorization means you're going to be putting that token in the public facing HTML, which means anyone that can look at that report can also look at the source and pull the token out. And so I think that's something to consider from a design perspective. And then I guess the comment on, even though these are open source projects, I don't know that them airing known vulnerabilities is the same as them sharing source code. I think there's probably, like, typically there's some delay of if we know about a vulnerability, but we want a chance to address it before it's public knowledge. But I maybe that's a broader conversation.
Yeah, the vulnerability database that we're using is the OSV dev database. So it does have a time delay in it from when something like gets reported to MITRE or CVE. I can't remember the name of that other one. I want to say CVE attack, but that's not it. So there is a delay of when a vulnerability is actually reported to when we pick it up.
Publish it. Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to Arvin's 3-month sprint. Do we need, again, I think if we're going to do a 3-month sprint like that, we're going to have someone put together a plan for the sprint.
I just sent you something, Tracy. Maybe you could take a quick look and see if it's.
Sent it to me in chat.
Yeah. Oh, no, email, sorry. I can.
Oh, this is like a sprint breakdown.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in stepping up and pulling together a project plan for a 3-month sprint?
Yeah, I can do that. And I'll have it for us next session.
Yeah. You know who you might want to tap on, Kate, is Jing. She's got quite a lot of project management experience. I think she's going to be back from the holiday trip that they took end of the week or something.
Okay.
Tell me that she would be back in the next call she would get would be in February.
I'll keep, I mean, I'll go ahead and put it out, and I'll have this for in 2 weeks. Our next meeting, our next architecture meeting, we can all take a look at it. I'll put something out there prior to us meeting, and maybe we can come to the next meeting with thoughts about it, if it makes sense, and whoever wants to jump on it to
And,
work.
Kate, do you have Steve's calendar link? Because just in case you want to get in touch with Steve to walk through.
I don't know if I do.
We'll get it to you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that'll be my homework or whatever to do. Be happy
Awesome.
to do that.
Is there anybody else who'd be interested in being a part of that?
Are we doing Agile and Scrum?
Yeah.
Hope we don't have to use Jira.
So what's your work schedule going to be like, Arvin? Are we still going to be able to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mostly
He stays
I
up
work
all
in
night.
Okay.
yeah.
He's young. He doesn't sleep. Got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, they are really good. I have to wake up early in the morning for the meeting. So I am working mostly in the evening and in the morning, and in the daytime I am resting and doing my coding stuff.
Cool. Well, congratulations, personally. So
I know. I'm very excited for you, Arvin.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you. I already created a one course for them. We will be launching it soon.
nice.
Okay, I gotta jump for another meeting. Any other things we need to?
Steve, you got like just 1 second? I just have an update on the Emporis stuff
Oh,
and
awesome.
UOR.
Yep. What do you got?
So I sent out at the beginning of this meeting a couple links. One to the diagrams that are reflect the current implementation of the Fibonacci operating system that we wrote. So you have UOR, which is the conceptual model. You have Fibonacci, which is the concrete implementation as a software system, and then I have another diagram that I actually stole from a working group under the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and that shows the progression of runtimes and kind of like this question of what is the next runtime, and they postulate that it's a model centric runtime, and we have that now. So we have a Docker like platform that allows us to build, ship, and run these these data containers that we've been talking about, the UOR and Emporis are. So now that we have the operating system, we have concrete implementations of the operating system. It's all compiled to WebAssembly. They run in both Linux WASI and in the browser uniformly. And so that's just where we're at now. Is we have the kernel written, the operating system implementation of that Docker-like platform written, and now the next step will be to write the Emporis implementation of that, which will be which would be this the entire basis of UOR and Fibonacci that you'll see from those diagrams that I shared is that it implements a component model that informs its database schema. It's very much like a completely decentralized Firebase service, if you're familiar with Google's Firebase. And so it relies on OCI registries for that decentralization. And we're going to be open sourcing the entire code base and a foundation around the UOR conceptual model within the next 2 months.
Is the decentralized OCI, is that like sit on top of like IPFS or some sort of peer-to-peer implementation, or how's that?
So what we refer to the Fibonacci operating system as is the UOR Internet Computer, and the UOR Internet Computer is a kernel implementation of an operating system that can operate within any abstraction of an information system. So we have implementation within the browser and like Linux right now, and we're looking at a U-boot and EFI implementations of it as well. And so this system uses an encoding scheme for data that normalizes the data presentation of all assets and content within an information system. I have some white papers if we want to go into that deeper. I really just wanted to share this architecture with you guys and let you guys know that we now have the complete. And it was a real pain in the ass, right? Because I had to write this unit testing framework from, so when you run your Go unit tests, it's testing the browser implementation in a headless Chrome environment, right? And it has to happen in CI. And so, and then, like getting around CORS issues in the browser, it actually turns out to be a Chrome extension that's replacing the fetch API, and then it allows you to interact with the UOR component model in the OCI registry. So this is really, if you guys have been following WebAssembly development, this is the WebAssembly registry. We kind of finished it. And we're going to be proposing the OCI specifications for artifact search and authorization that the WebAssembly registry would need to actually be feature complete. So we don't have those specifications fully fleshed out, especially the authorization API, but that will be part of the UOR foundation.
Cool. Awesome.
So I'm really interested. Is it possible to get, you said white paper, is it possible to get the white paper on that, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. It's, you just have to kind of like be ready for kind of like the very esoteric conversation about technology at that point, and then overlaid with kind of like an extrapolation of different expressions within mathematic concepts that this, because what we're talking about is a global neural network, and that's what the WebAssembly kind of like functional programming model kind of like starts going into. And so it's just as a warning, it's very esoteric.
Yeah, no, I love decentralized everything, so I would love to read the paper. So thank you.
Maybe you could pass the link to the paper to Tracy and she could send it back out to the mailing list or put it up in Discord, one of those things.
Yeah, I need to clean it up, but yeah, that's exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, send it over to me or put it out in Discord, and I'll make sure everybody here has it.
And I just want you guys to know that like my team has been working our asses off. I mean, I haven't come out of my basement in like 6 months, I think, but like this is all so that, you know, the Emporus project can finally implement the UOR model in Ortelius. And so like right now you'll see as we get the code open sourced, you're going to see that we now have the tooling to be able to write Emporus, and it's a very thin wrapper over the UOR kernel that we already have.
And I would consider this extremely significant. So I would love to read. To me, you don't have to clean anything up. I'd love to read it.
Yeah, I'd love to read that, man. That's why you're in the right open source project, Alex, with the alien. You see.
Yes, exactly.
You guys are the only people crazy enough to actually like go after UOR. So thank you.
I can't wait to eat my pies, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Add me also.
It's going to even change the way we look at cybersecurity. Yeah. So
Exactly.
whatever you can do to just please. Yeah. I would love to read it.
It's amazing, man.
And
You'll
Alex,
find.
Don't worry about it getting it too cleaned up. This
Yeah,
group,
just send it out.
Yeah. Just send it out. Yeah.
Just send it out. Just send it. Don't worry.
Just so you guys understand, we've now found the two concrete implementations of UOR is the UOR foundation and the UOR kernel, right? So we actually are pursuing a governmental and economic, even like looking at token models for implementing the UOR conceptual model in the analog in our human interactions and in the digital of the UOR internet computer. Yeah. So the white paper's there.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. I beg of you to send this out. Yeah, I'd love to.
It's coming. I will send it.
I mean, this is
That's it.
exactly
Like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but for tech.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. I like that, Sasha. I got to plug in.
Yeah, you like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Don't forget your towel.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions for Alex?
Who do I send this link to? Sorry, just can I send it to one?
Just send it to Tracy and she'll get it out.
Okay. It's just a Google Doc right now, so it's probably, it's just open for comment.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for not leaving your basement in 6 months.
There's some other details there that I could share offline, but it's not all glamorous. So yeah.
No, that's rough, man.
Hey, folks, I gotta take this call.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you later.
We'll see you later.
Yeah. Bye.